diving into a Bloomburrow pre-release kit. Welcome back to the HFX Games YouTube channel. I'm Travis, and today I'm going to go through building a pre-release kit so you can be prepped and ready for the Bloomburrow pre-release this weekend. Alright, so first, get into the pack here. So you're going to get 6 Bloomburrow Play Booster packs and a foil promo. Alright, get into the promo here. Looks like we got Fisund? Is that how you pronounce that? Green Shell. Elemental Turtle for 5, 4/6 reach. As long as you control 10 or more lands, creatures you control get +2/+2. Pretty nice, good rate. When this guy or another creature you control with toughness greater than its power enters, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you can put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, it goes right to your hand. So pretty solid rare. Definitely playable. So we'll put him in our little green section here. We got a pre-release code. First come, first serve. Whoever can punch that into arena the quickest, you get it. Alright, so we'll move this to the side. We get a little Bloomburrow life counter there too. Alright, so the first thing I do is I just open all of my packs right away, and I like to sort them by color. So we'll throw the token over here. So I like to do Wooburg order, so white, blue, black, red, green, then multicolored, then artifact, then land. Got artifact, blue, white, green, multicolored. There we go. Didn't even see what our first rare was here. I do like to kind of take note of the rares I open. Okay, here he is. We got Hearthborn Battler, 3 mana, 2/3 haste, a Lizard Warlock. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, this guy deals 2 damage to target opponent. Okay, so it triggers when you cast your second spell and whenever your opponent casts their second spell, but it only hurts your opponents. So that's pretty sweet. Alright, we got another token. We got a foil multicolored card, our land. Alright, so our rare here is Mistbreath Elder, 1 green for a 2/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on Mistbreath Elder. Otherwise, you may return Mistbreath Elder to its owner's hand. Pretty aggressive 1-drop. Pretty good cost. 1 green for a 2/2 that gets bigger. Let's these out, green and black. Fancy little art card. Foil. Basic. We got For the Common Good. So this is green and XX. So you gotta pay X twice. So you create X tokens that are, if I can get this not blurry. Doesn't want to focus. Okay, well, create X tokens that are copies of target token you control. Then tokens you control gain indestructible until your next turn. Then you gain 1 life for each token you control. Kind of interesting. So you need a token in play already for that one to do something good for you. Green, black, red, white. Token, foil, it's white. What did I put? Okay, those are all in the right spot. Land, alright, and then we got a white rare here, Whiskervale Forerunner. This is a 4 mana 3/4, Valiant, so whenever Whiskervale Forerunner becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them. You put that right onto the battlefield if it's your turn. If you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. The rest go on the bottom in a random order. That is really good for 4 mana. I like that one. Last couple packs here. All right, we have a multicolored rare Zoraline Cosmos Collar. 3 mana 3/3, Flying Vigilance. Whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Whenever Zoraline enters or attacks, you may pay white, black, and 2 life. When you do, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Finality counter, I believe, is if it would leave play, you exile it instead. So we got a kind of nice multicolored rare. We might lean into that direction, especially with the other white rare we opened. Okay, token, foil, land. We got a red rare. We got Sunspine Lynx. This is a 4 mana 5/4. Pretty good rate. Players can't gain life. Damage can't be prevented. When Sunspine Lynx enters, it deals damage to each player equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. So, well, price of progress on ETB. That might not be super relevant in your pre-release. There's not usually a whole lot of non-basics that are played, but if you're lucky, it might deal 2 damage to your opponent when it enters. But other than that, a 4 mana 5/4 is already pretty good. Okay, so now we have our pool opened. So the first thing I like to do is take another look at my rares to see if I have a lot of bombs in like one color. I might lean a bit more towards that color. So we got a red rare, 2 red rares. None there. So far just red green. But then we got a sweet, yeah, it's a Forerunner. One there. And a multicolored rare. I think that is it. Then got a couple little utility lands here. We got Rockface Village and Uncharted Haven. The Haven is good for fixing. If we end up splashing a third color, that'll definitely be in our deck. And then a red utility land that we'll play if we end up solidly in red. Okay, so these are our rares. So we have 2 that we could play if we were looking at playing white-black. We have a few green rares and 2 okay red rares. Okay, so let's see how deep each color goes. So I like to see if you might open your pool and you have, say, we'll take a look at our black. There's only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 9 black cards total. So you would basically have to play all of your black cards if I was going to go into black. Whereas something like white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 white cards. So my white is a lot deeper than my black. So take a look at my multicolored cards, see if there's a lot of 1-2 color combination. Because a lot of your deck synergies will lean on your gold uncommons and commons. We have green white, we got a few red white, couple green white, couple green or a couple white black, and 1 red green. Now there's a good amount of hybrid colored cards, so the red-white split or the white-black split. So we might play something like this red-white card, even if we're not white or red. If we're just one of the 2 colors, you could still play them. So, thinking since we have a lot of white cards, we might end up in possibly a white-green deck. That would let us play a good amount of these split cards as well. And then we might splash maybe red or black. Okay, so let's take a look at if we were to build, we'll do, it's kind of close. We could do white-red, or we could do green-white, I think. Looking at our uncommons here, so I think we can rule out black and blue for the most part, so I'll just put those off to the side. And mostly more fixing and a tangle tumbler in our artifacts. We might play one or two of those. So if we are definitely playing green, what does that look like? We have our green shell, have our Mistbreath Elder. For the common good, it could be okay, but we would have to be probably leaning into a token strategy if we really wanted to play that. So you're not always going to play all the rares you can. Hunter's Talents is pretty good, so I'm going to lay these out in mana cost order as I'm going. Because you don't want to have, like 10 or 12 1-drops or, like 8 6-drops and just never be able to cast your spells. So just going to line them up and make sure you're looking for, they call it a mana curve. So you want less 1s and 5s and 6s, and you want most of your spells to be around the 2 to 4 range. Okay, so we got a couple combat tricks in green. A lot of food cards. And we're going to take a look at some of the uncommons here, because they're going to be a lot of your powerhouse cards. So we got a 3-drop 1/1 trample. When Honored Dray Leader enters, put a 1/1 counter on it for each other squirrel and or food. Whenever another squirrel or food you control enters, it gets 1/1 counter. Could be pretty good if we end up in a have token strategy. This one is also nice common. When it enters, you make a food. Whenever you expend 4, so whenever you use your 4th mana, it gets 1/1 till end of turn. I think that's pretty playable. Druid of the Spades is as long as you control a token, it gets 2/0 in trample. So that's pretty good as well. So I think we could take a look and see if we can play kind of a token-based deck here. Another one of these duos. So if we're playing tokens, that is the green-white strategy. So we're going to look at a nice uncommon like Burrowguard Mentor. So it is green-white for star, trample. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. So if you're making a lot of tokens, that's going to get really big really fast. And then another gold card like this in the common slot, Head of the Homestead. So 3 green-white 3 generic and 2 green-white hybrid. To 3/2. When it enters, create 2 1/1 white rabbit tokens. So that's also super good for a strategy like this. Let's see. Our white, definitely want to play the Whiskervale Forerunner. Fantastic rare. Warren Elder is a 2-mana 2/2. You can pay 4 creatures you control, get 1/1 until end of turn. So if we're making a lot of tokens, going wide, that's going to be pretty good. Mabel's Metal. Usually I don't like to play too many combat tricks, but if we're going to be playing a lot of creatures, this is kind of made for a token strategy, so I think that one's okay. Any of the cards with Offspring are going to be really good in a token strategy because it just makes another body, and then usually you get some kind of benefit for having the 1/1 copy of the creature. So definitely play Intrepid Rabbit. 2 of those. Ooh, we got 3 of those. We have Driftgloom Coyote. So when this enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. If it had power 2 or less, this gets a counter. So you can either use this as removal. If you exile one of their creatures and it happens to be a smaller creature, it gets larger. Or if you want to throw away even just a one of these 1/1 tokens that we're going to make, you can just make him larger if you have to. I think we definitely play one of these to start. Harvest Right Host. This or another rabbit enters. Target creature you control gets 1/0 until end of turn. Then you draw a card if it's the second time it's resolved. So that's pretty good. A lot of these token makers just kind of happen to be rabbits, so definitely want to play that one. We got Seasoned Warren Guard, another good uncommon. So whenever this attacks while you control a token, it gets 2/0. So a lot of the time when we're attacking, it's going to be like a 1 mana 3/2, which is pretty good. Okay, let's see where we're at now. So I think if we're going to be in this token strategy, I think this for the common good will actually be playable in our deck. So if we're making a bunch of different types of tokens, we can just kind of double up on all of our tokens, gain a bunch of life. I think that'll be good. And this artifact also happens to go in our strategy here. Tap 2 untapped tokens, and you basically crew it, so it becomes an artifact creature till end of turn. And it's a 3 mana 6/6 with vigilance. And then you can also pay 3, tap it to put a counter on a creature. Super good for this kind of deck. Okay, so typically you want around 17 spells. You can maybe go to like, uh, you could go to, or not 17 spells, 17 lands. So you want typically 23 spells in your deck. Unless you play an aggressive deck with maybe a low land count, you can push it to 24 spells and 16 lands. So I like to, as I'm building my deck, do a count, see where I'm at for spells. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 spells. So we can definitely play a couple more. Let's see what we have left. So our red, we probably won't be playing red, I don't think. Throw those aside. So now I think we could play this. So this one is 3 generic, 2 red-green hybrid. So in our deck, it would basically just be 3 green-green. It's a 4/5 with trample. Whenever you expend 4, it gets 2/1 until end of turn. That is pretty good. Just kind of a large trampler. Let's see. Got some high strides. We have heaped harvest. When this enters and when you sacrifice it, you may search your library for a basic land card put on the battlefield tapped. So it kind of just like a ramp card. So yeah, this is where it gets tricky when you're just looking for kind of the last couple cards to put in your deck. Oh, we do have Loop and Flower Village. So this taps for white for creatures, and you can pay 2, tap, and sacrifice it to look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a bat, bird, mouse, or rabbit from among them and put it into your hand. So we'll definitely be playing that. That's a good utility land to have if we're in white. Another quick look. Okay, so we'll play. I think we could play the second Warren Elder. And we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And we could even maybe play this Bumbleflower's Share Pot. So So it's a 2-mana artifact. When it enters, it creates a food token. You can pay 5, tap, and sacrifice it to destroy target non-land permanent as a sorcery. So now, it's not great removal, but in a deck where we are kind of lacking a little bit of removal, and it kind of works with our token strategy, I think it's okay to play. It's late game removal. Early game just makes a token for like our Warren Guard or any of our other token-based cards. And we have 4 5-drops. That's pretty good. I think that's okay to top out up there. And I think that puts us at 23 spells. So I would throw in some basic lands, and I think I would play this. So we got a nice solid token strategy for our pre-release deck. Now, if you're looking to play any of the other strategies, a lot of them are pretty typical for the colors. So the white-blue strategy is flyers boosting non-flyers. So your flyers are all going to matter in white-blue. Blue-black is the kind of graveyard themed colors. So it's blue-black threshold, and that one's based on rats, and the white-blue one's flyers, so it's birds. Black-red is lizard folk, so that's just kind of an aggressive deck. Red-green is raccoons, and it's big creature ramp, so you're just casting all of these ramp spells for some late game large creatures. Rabbits is the green-white token swarm, that's the one we just built here. Bat folk is white-black, so that's based on gaining life and losing life. So you're trying to do all sorts of stuff by either you gaining and losing life or making your opponents lose life and benefiting off that. The blue-red one is classic spells, so that's just instant sorceries. Blue-red, that's otters. Black-green is squirrels, that's the food mid-range deck. Mouse folk is red-white, and that one's also an aggro strategy, but more based on targeting your own creatures. And blue-green is the frogs, so that's blinking and bouncing, kind of like what we saw with the Mistbreath Elder, bouncing your own creatures and getting benefits off the ETBs. I'm super excited for this set. I think it's going to be really fun in Standard too. Just looked at all the spoilers today, and I am super excited about the set. Whether you're familiar with Redwall or not, cute cuddly animals are great. Good time. Yeah, so hopefully you are ready for your pre-release this weekend, and we'll see you in the next video.